as we wrapped up 3 years of projects with our pilot, we realized, and through speaking to a lot of the people who'd been delivering the BRE through the area, that there was a lot of important learnings, and that there was no need to reinvent the wheel. We could all help one another learn. So we did a survey of roughly 30 BRE leads and managers regarding what worked and what didn't work. And we wanted to know what were some of the preconditions that were critical to success. And so we broke all of these responses into roughly 4 sub-areas: planning and surveying, action and uptake, follow-through, and economic development planning. Now, why we looked at these 4 factors was to understand how to get the community ready, how to get results, why follow-through is such an important step, and understanding everyone's role in the bigger picture and why that matters. So in terms of planning and surveying and understanding our goals, a big part of this was just seeing improved relationships between all of the stakeholders in a community. And I mentioned quickly earlier that we had the MAT survey and we had community-focused surveys. The BREs could be focused either around a geography, say an entire community, or just the downtown core or some of the peripheral areas, or they could be focused sectorally, say on like the MAT survey, or on a forestry or on agricultural survey. But it's important to understand and to have a focus and a purpose for these projects. In terms of establishing support, this is a huge part of the planning process, getting stakeholders involved and making sure that you've got both businesses and government supporting the entire process. And all of this is part of the education process. Local government and staff are going to have different education needs. Business community will have different education needs. And part of that, related back into the communications and establishing support, is the potential to bring champions on board. Every community has really strong individuals, either from the business community or from the government community, who can act as these champions. And this is a very, very important precondition to getting success, is having a couple of folks who will drive the entire program with a vital energy. And of course, this establishment of support is driven around getting commitment. We're going to come back to this again later on, but there are many moving parts in the BRE, and everyone's got to know their roles and be committed. You'll see throughout the deck this mention of champions over and over again. Their role as a catalyst could not be overstated. And also having a dedicated red flag and green flag coordinator is a really important part of the commitment to response. And I'm going to come back to this red flag, green flag coordinator again. The relationships, again, are very, very important. Understanding the access to support networks eases the load of those people who are doing the work through the area. We've got to have an awareness of those networks and leverage those. Develop those relationships outside of the BRE as well. In terms of our surveyors, very important for all of the people actually delivering the survey to understand the business pressures and to behave accordingly. Getting red flag and green flag information to the coordinator immediately allows responses to be effective and timely. So very, very important role for the surveyor. They're one of the linchpins of the entire thing. Now, looking at that action and uptake category, red flags and green flags. This seems to be the single most important factor in creating effective and timely responses and eliminating the idea of the survey fatigue, where we just keep on being given all these questionnaires and surveys and studies, but nothing ever happens. Having that dedicated red flag, green flag coordinator acting on it as soon as possible is going to be the most important thing that people can do in these BREs. And I hope everyone knows what I mean by red flags and green flags. The red flags are held up whenever a surveyor encounters a business that says that they may close. That's a red flag that needs attention immediately. The green flags, of which fortunately there are more, are those opportunities where businesses would like to expand, would like to take advantage of an opportunity, but are being held back by something. So it's an opportunity for an intervention locally to help that business. Often the green flags might be easier things to move forward on. But by far and away, in terms of creating the overall cohesion of the community, the business community, and creating that sense that we're all in it together, there's no single thing that can be done with more of an impact than having someone follow up on the red flags and green flags immediately. Could not overstress how important that is. So I'm going to carry on with the action and uptake here. One of the most common programs to fall out of the BRE is a variety of different training programs. And I just simply like to say about that, understand your audience, understand what their pressures are, understand how to market to them accordingly, understand how to tailor the delivery to that audience. Getting that uptake from people on the training programs can be quite challenging, but people have to stick with it and understand what those pressures are so that they can remove as many of the barriers to participation as possible. Looking at some of the other aspects is to be prepared for improved relationships. The single most common comment from all of the BRE leads was that the first thing that they had to say was that their relationships between local government, any EDO or EDPs, and the business community was improved. Expect it and be prepared to take advantage and leverage the improvements in those relationships. Honor those. Shared services are often brought up as a potential opportunity. These are really difficult to leverage into action. Often requires someone to specifically be dedicated to coordinating, which would really improve the chances of success. But in these small communities, in terms of, we see this, the local sales and local supplies creating this pressure for internal gaps in our supply chain. We've got the opportunity to work together. It's not easy, but there are lots of opportunities for shared services. Looking at the local expertise, this notion of the champions and the local experts. There's all sorts of opportunities to leverage the successful people in your community and to honor them, to celebrate them, and to get them to contribute even more to the community through that celebration. One wonderful case study was Vernon's Dragon's Den, and the Lower Columbia has started doing a Dragon's Den for the youth. Coaches and judges drawn from the local business community, getting sponsorships from that same community, bringing contestants in from the local youth, which is great for developing some spirit in the youth and the upcoming workforce. Wonderful opportunity for communications and a celebration of the entire BRE, an opportunity to tell people that something's coming out of it, and a great way to just celebrate those local experts. And that's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm really happy to see that happening within our region as well. In terms of action and uptake, it's also an opportunity to learn how to work with data. This is not something that's particularly strong, particularly in low capacity communities where there's not a lot of experience with working with data. But this is an opportunity to really leverage communications and drive policy. This is a really good thing that we've seen happening within communities within the area. I want to talk for a second just about follow-through. There's some simple stuff that we can do following through after the BRE is done. Sending out thank you cards. Someone told me this. I thought, what a brilliant opportunity. Very simple, just to show appreciation, remind people that they've been through this, and remind people that the results of this are not going to be shelved. Good part of a communication strategy. That development of commitment that was done in the early part of the BRE in setting out the planning and surveying. Establishing that commitment is so important to getting follow-through at the back end of the BRE, which again is central to showing people that there's something coming of it and leveraging these results into solid action. looking at the capacity in small communities, big communities. Everyone's got limitations to their capacity. In many of the basin boundary communities, this is a really big challenge where there's limited to no budgets. But everyone should understand that commitment is, or commitment should be commensurate with the capacity. But there has to be some level of devotion of resources to the process in order to get something going on afterwards. Even low capacity communities, using their networks, can punch above their weight classes. So understand capacity, but don't let it be as much of a limitation as some people think it is. There's stuff that can be done within the limits of that capacity. Also important to focus and filter out the naysayers and to really work with the willing. You need to understand who the people are in the community and be prepared to head off the negative influence and focus so much on the positive energy, because there's so much potential, and it's a pity to see things get derailed. Communications again and again and again is so important. We all know this one. Tell them what you're going to do, tell them you're doing it, and remind them what you did. Having the expectations from the group that is leading the BRE. BRE leads have consistently been surprised by the positivity and the wealth of opportunities that come up within the BRE. Be prepared for this and be prepared to run with it. You're going to have opportunities. Now, this all leads into economic development planning. Again, our education role is so important. ED is not very well understood. All of our stakeholders have a role in it. All of them should be encouraged to participate. The strength of ED comes from the stakeholders. There are ED 101 courses or day programs that have been developed. In some communications with some other folks about this, and I'm quite excited about possibly seeing this become a little bit more prevalent throughout the basin boundary. But again, education is important in terms of bringing people up to speed as to what ED is all about. Again, participation is so important. Every stakeholder in the community is going to benefit from economic development. They should also participate. It's part of the strength of economic development. Again, data-driven planning. We've got the opportunity coming out of BRE to push the data-driven part of economic development planning. And some communities have found that the BRE, if they don't have an economic development plan, the BRE forms a great way to get around that, to bypass the lack of a plan and to get some action happening. For those communities that do have an economic development plan, the BRE is a great way to bolster that existing plan and to offer some wonderful nuggets to go along with the existing plan. And finally, this is a huge opportunity for positive growth and building enthusiasm in the community, and that's an essential part of economic development. So I'd like to leave it with that and thank everyone for their time. And I'd just like to draw everyone's attention on this final slide. We've got the RDI's website published written in at the bottom of this slide. And again, I would encourage everyone to come and look at our BRE publications and stay tuned for the upcoming publication of both the Best Practices paper and the regional report. So on that, I'll finish up.